In this part, we'll look into dimensions of economic globalizations, the rapid growth in integration and interdependence of economies can be explained by the interconnectedness of the various dimensions of economic globalizations, such as globalization of markets, productions, competition, technology, and corporations and industries. And we will end this part by discussing drivers of globalizations. When we consider globalizations, the first thing that we need to understand is globalization of market, and this refers to the merging of what periodically separate nationally based market into a single global marketplace. We have tremendous globalization of markets, where a large number of products and services are practically available everywhere in the world. Globalization of markets leads to standardization of products and services. However, we tend to find that globalization of markets tend to be less prominent in consumer goods. Obviously, we have seen converging consumer tastes, where all of us in Thailand or worldwide, for example, a lot of products that we eat and drink are American or overseas owned products that come from overseas companies. However, we do at the same time see a number of national preferences which remain significantly separate from those are evident around the world. As you may refer to our previous discussion regarding Vietnam coffee culture, and for some cultural reasons or other reasons such as climate or lifestyles, there isn't that overlap that's crossed over in a lot of these consumer-based industry, and for that reason, companies need to try several strategies to overcome obstacles influenced by localizations. On the other hand, globalization of market is more important in the market for industrial goods and materials such as oil, aluminum, and microprocessors. These things are standardized and do the same function, irrespective of what country they are operated in. The other interesting industry on the global scale, such as education, experiential, medication, and entertainment, are considered as the key drivers, and they also enjoy the wonderful benefit from globalization. On the other hand, we have globalization of production. It reflects the tendency amongst the firms to globally source products and services from countries for the optimal competitive advantage to their businesses. It involves the strategy of firms to either lower factor costs in the aspects of land costs, labor costs, and capital costs, or to enhance quality to ensure value-added products and services. Therefore, it necessitates firms to actually look at their value chains, their operations on a global scale, and evaluate where each value being created or added, whether it is in product design, marketing, or manufacturing or sales, where that value can be created. A great example here is Apple with its iPhones. Not only did it identify where it can save money by lowering its operation costs, by establishing the operation overseas, but also taking advantage of higher quality inputs in its iPhones by locating other parts of its operations in the higher value-adding country. And to illustrate, Apple is an American firm, and iPhones contains different parts from around the world. For example, accelerometer from Germany, batteries from South Korea, camera from Japan, the country with a high reputation for a high quality input for cameras, and the mixed signal chip from the Netherlands. The Touch IDs were developed in Taiwan, and the final assembly is typically carried out in China. So it is pretty much a global product. And as previously mentioned, the different parts are based around the world. So it's totally depending on whether they are looking to lower their operation costs or adding a high quality input into the services or products. As well, there absolutely are some government regulations that have been put in place through formal and informal barriers to trade, which do impede this process. Having said that, even though globalization does seem to be an omnipresent, unstoppable force, it comes to our realizations that governments could put some regulations in place to try and at least control the process to some degree. And I believe this example could explain geopolitical trade barriers quite well. Apple is tapping more suppliers in China for key roles in producing the latest iPhone, a sign that countries' technological competitiveness is continuing to increase despite Washington's attempts to rein in Beijing's tech ambitions. We can foresee Apple needs to diversify its sourcing and manage its costs amid the geopolitical uncertainties that will continue to rise in the coming years, which will also give Chinese suppliers good opportunities to expand shares in Apple's global supply chains. This will also create a bigger pressure on the existing suppliers of Apple's global operations. As we can see, China continues to succeed despite an ongoing U.S. crackdown on Chinese chip makers, including trade restrictions aimed at blocking their access to vital American tools and technologies.